Shalom, shalom. This is Brother Panah from Ramgadalgabaryam, High Exalted Warriors, coming back at you with the Panah Files. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahasham Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, okay, for the spirit and wisdom and knowledge, okay, for truly truth is springing forth in the earth, okay. And the greatest truth that is springing forth in the earth is the fact that the Lord is saving his people, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans on the Western Hemisphere. The Lord is gathering us, okay? And the other tribes that are on the other hemisphere, the Eastern Hemisphere, all right? The Lord said he is going to provide way for them, all right? So as the Lord gathers us in the Western Hemisphere, we are preparing ourselves for the everlasting kingdom. We're removing ourselves from the fantastical doctrines of Christianity, Islam, and things of that nature. Okay. And today I'm going to go into a lesson concerning marriage in the kingdom. Okay. Will there be reproduction going on in the kingdom? And I'm going to prove that today. You have a lot of fairy tales within the Christian church that we're going to be flying up in heaven, and there's going to be angels playing harps, and you're going to be flying around with wings, and it's going to be naked cupids running around. Okay, that's not the kingdom of heaven. Okay, and that is not what the Lord intended. Okay, after you die, all right, that you float up into heaven and you're just flying around on wings, and it's cloudy and things of that nature. Okay. The Lord created the heavens and the earth. The heavens are his abode. Okay. The earth is man's abode, and the earth is his footstool. We are to serve the Lord on planet earth. However, the kingdom of heaven will be coming here. Okay. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. That will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And that's thus saith the Lord. Okay, so we are to conduct ourselves as it is in heaven, and the children of Israel being the chosen people who are the kingdom of heaven on earth. And this is why we have to remove ourselves from the ideologies of Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, atheism. Okay, Hinduism teaching you that you are reincarnated in your next life, you can become a rat. Okay, they have temples, okay, in India where they feed rats, saying that those are the ancestors, and they have a rat god, things of that nature.
So I don't really get grossed out by a lot of things, but this rat temple is grossing me out. Rat ran across my foot, freaked me out. I jumped and cried like a little girl. I'm like, touch me! And it really smells bad in here, and it's pretty disgusting, and there's rat crap everywhere, and pigeon shit, and pigeon poo, and, but hey, this is the last stage before they come human again in this religion, so these are their ancestors come back as rats. I'm going to throw some rats in food and see what happens.
Nature, our people worshiping over there scattered in India, okay? And even here, reading the Bhagavad Gita, you have Islam that teaches you when you die, you're going to be met in heaven with googly-eyed boys, okay, bright-eyed virgins, okay, things of that nature, okay. And I'm here to show you what is going to take place within the kingdom of heaven, okay. Will there be marriage in the kingdom of heaven? And I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to prove that, okay, with the scriptures, all right. But it's not a marriage in which it's going to be lasciviousness and all sorts of lusts of the flesh. There's going to be ordered marriage according to the law within the kingdom of heaven. Okay, there will be men with multiple wives within the kingdom of heaven. Okay, and I'm going to prove this. Let's start off in the book of Isaiah, chapter 45 and verse 18. For thus saith Yahweh that created the heavens, God himself that formed the earth and made it, he hath established it. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Yahweh, and there is none else. So the Lord is telling you that he created the earth not in vain. So he's not going to create the earth from the beginning to say, I'm not going to reside in the earth. I'm not going to allow mankind to multiply in the earth or be fruitful within the earth. He created the earth for mankind to have dominion over the beasts, the fishes of the sea, the fowls of the air, to rule, and it be the kingdom or dominion of man. Okay. The sad thing is, through breaking the law, statutes, and covenants that he promised to the chosen people of mankind, we have become separated from the original ordinances. Okay. And we have embraced rudiments and traditions of men rather than the traditions of God. Okay. But he created sex to be holy. He said that marriage is honorable in all, and the marriage bed to be undefiled. So that's a very sacred ritual that is practiced, okay? And it has everything to do with pleasure and posterity from one gender to the other, okay? The Lord loves children. So what kingdom are you imagining? A kingdom without newborn children? Okay? The Lord bless mankind to have newborn children, okay? And the world will not be overpopulated. They will live out to about 1,000 years, and they will yield their spirit to the Lord, and the Lord will recycle their spirit back into the earth as he's been doing for eons. Okay. The sad thing is we have been separated from this knowledge and this understanding via religion and philosophy. Okay. Vain imaginations from men by the worshiping of angels. Okay. Or so-called, quote unquote, messengers sent from God. Okay, that try to teach you the afterlife rather than reading the Bible for what it's saying. Okay, so the Lord said he created the earth to be inhabited. All right, so he doesn't want mankind to be wiped off the planet. So when you read Revelations and it says it's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, okay, it's not talking about he's going to blow up this earth entirely. No, the earth is going to be cleansed and it's going to be renewed. Okay, and it's going to be brought back to what it was before, the Garden of Eden. That is the Lord's will. When he first created it, he created it to be a garden. Okay, a prosperous, fertile place with beautiful fruits and berries. The lion still hunted the zebra. The lizard still did what it did. The spider still caught the fly. The Lord created the ecosystem because that was his will. That was his design. That was his desire. And it was his desire for man and woman to be fruitful and multiply, and that will continue within the kingdom of heaven. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. Genesis 1 and 28. And let me just say something about that. We're living in a society that teaches it's okay for a man to be with a man and a woman to be with a woman. And we have seen throughout history how the Lord judges that sin, okay, that transgression and that offense. It is abominable, which means it is undeniably, okay, going to destroy you, okay, via disease, via volcano, via fire, okay. You're going to die a miserable death, okay? And your soul is going to perish, okay? So, give you an example, okay? If you put 300 males on an island, and we gave you that island, and you can go and commit your abominations on that island, okay? Let's go 150 years down the line. We go back and revisit these homosexuals, okay? And you're going to see bones because you cannot procreate in the sin of Sodom. You cannot procreate with male and male. That's not how the Lord created it. You're going to die in that abominable offense. Okay. Genesis 1 and 28. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Fruitful means to live in truth. And multiply means to have much children, populate the earth. and replenish the earth. You see that? He wants the earth to be full. See, now you live in a society where Bill Gates said that the earth is overpopulated. Yeah, the earth is overpopulated. Why? If I drive from the east coast to the west coast, I can see all types of thousands of miles worth of land. The earth is not overpopulated. The Lord created life and he gave mankind death. But death is ruling the planet to where we only live on average 70, 80 years. Okay, natural causes. Men are dying at 18, 15, 11. There are newborn infants just passing away because of society's sin, because of the abominations in the world. All right. So the Lord created the earth to be full of people, to be full of animals. OK, and when he returns through his son, he will still have that same will for the earth, that man and woman be fruitful and that they multiply. And we're going to go in depth. He said, and subdue it, which means control it. All right. Meaning don't let it get out of control. The earth is not subdued at this point. The book says in Psalms, it says the earth is out of course. The earth is shaking all over the place. Tsunamis, earthquakes, the oil is being stolen out of the earth, which is a natural lubricant. The birds dropping out of the sky. I mean, you can go on the news. It's depressing. OK, we are not subduing the earth. OK, it says, and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. So he didn't say it shall be for smoking. That's another problem that we're having. OK, we're smoking the herb and we're not eating the herb. OK, so that just shows you that the Lord created and formed the earth so that it can be inhabited. And he desires for it to remain inhabited by righteous people, OK, that are keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments, OK, in order to subdue the earth. And the reason why the earth is out of control in these times is because we are not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments on the earth. They're telling you, do whatever you want to do. The Christian church saying the law is done away with, not understanding that that was the law of sacrifice Paul was talking about. OK, law is still established upon the earth. OK, not one jot or tittle shall pass away from the law. That was Matthew 5. OK, the Lord already established this. But people try to go around, beat around the bush so that they can still eat pork and die from the tapeworm. People still go around the bush and still celebrate holidays. OK, and the Lord said he's going to burn in the fire of his jealousy. OK, because you have an idol in your home, because you are still worshiping idols. But people still want to do what people want to do, afraid of persecution from other people because the world is secular and it is not being subdued by the law, statutes, and commandments of God. We have become rebellious on the planet. OK, so let's go to Luke chapter 24, verse 40. OK, to give some metaphysical understanding, OK, of the similitude or physicality you will have within the kingdom of heaven. Because some people think you're just going to be a spirit. OK, you are a spiritual being, but the Lord created you to have a body on earth. And Hamashiach Yahushua, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, is in his body. OK, Luke 24, verse 40. And when he had thus spoken, he showed them his hands and his feet. These are the same hands and feet that they thrusted the nails through. OK, and they had holes in them. And while they yet believed not for joy and wondered, he said unto them, have ye here any meat? And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and of an honeycomb. So they fed Christ. That means Christ had a digestive system. OK, Christ was eating when he rose. OK, he asked them for something to eat. Who knows? He could have been hungry. All right. But we know that he was in a body. OK, and he desired to eat and he ate. Luke 24 and 43. And he took it and did eat before them. You see that? So if we're going to be in the likeness of his glory at his coming, that means we will be in a body and we will eat. Okay, because the Lord created fruits after its own seed. He created meats for us to eat. And we will be eating and feasting within the kingdom. Okay, let's go to Mark chapter 16, verse 11. Okay, when he first arose. And they, when they had heard that he was alive and had been seen of her, believed not. This is Mary Magdalene. She saw him alive. And listen to what form she said that she saw him in. Mark 16, verse 12. After that, he appeared in another form unto two of them as they walked and went into the country. So now when you go into this word form, okay, it's G3444, okay, in the Hebrew Greek Strong's Concordance. And it says morphe, perhaps from the base of G3313 through the idea of adjustment of parts. Okay, so there was another form he was in. He wasn't in the likeness of the flesh of Adam because he overcame death and the grave. Okay, but when it means another form doesn't mean he had another particular shape. But listen to what it says. Figuratively, nature. Okay, so this is the other form he was in. He was in another nature, a body that could ascend into heaven, a body that could eat, that could drink, that could walk, that could enter the chariot, that could go up above all of the heavens and sit down at the right hand of God. As Elijah was translated, as Enoch was translated into another allotment. Okay, so now let's go to Matthew 26, verse 27. And he took the cup and gave thanks. Now, this is the Last Supper, okay, where he's sitting down with his disciples and he's fellowshipping with them before he gets crucified, and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So he's saying that when you come together, and a lot of people in Kemet like to criticize the Lord for saying that when you drink this wine, you drink of my blood, and they like to call him a cannibal and things of that nature. No, he didn't tell us to practice cannibalism. But he was saying, in remembrance of me, when you come together, because this walk will be very stressful. These disciples died for what they believed in. When you come together in the spirit of brotherhood, there the Lord is in the midst, and you are drinking, okay, remembering that your Lord shed his blood for you. In remembrance of the Lord, you come together in fellowship and love, where your hearts are knit together from the problems that society is giving you and pushing you into this new world. Okay, understand that your Lord shed his blood. Let me give you some understanding of this. Ecclesiastes 31 and 27 says, wine is as good as life to a man, if it be drunk moderately. What life is then to a man that is without wine? For it was made to make men glad. So the Lord is saying, as often as you come together, drink this in remembrance of my blood being shed for you. Okay, that basically was the Lord giving them an incentive to continue in their faith. All right. So it had nothing to do with cannibalism. OK, because wine was created by the Heavenly Father, another fruit from the vine, to make men's heart glad, because the disciples would have a sorrowful life. And so would any other disciple of this time. OK, so when we come together, we drink in remembrance of the Lord's blood being shed. And sometime we give a toast to the Lord. OK, because of his great deeds he's done for the children of Israel. Matthew 19 and 28. And the Mashiach Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. The word that is emphasized in this particular topic is regeneration. Okay. The word that was used in the beginning was replenish. In the times of Noah, when the Lord destroyed nations and said he's not going to destroy mankind in like manner, meaning he destroyed nations and only left 8 people in the flood. But he promised us by the bow that's in the sky that he would never do that again. And he's not. He's going to leave a multitude or remnants of nations in this particular time through the destruction via fire. However, we will regenerate upon the earth, meaning we will restart generations on the earth in a new form. Okay. Preparing, okay, the everlasting life for the world and future generations to come. Matthew 19:29. And everyone that hath forsaken houses or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. Now, a lot of people, I'm going to do another lesson on the kingdom of heaven because people get misconstrued with this mortal shall put on immortality and this corruptible, incorruptible, as if there's not going to be death in the kingdom. The Lord created everything in twos. And from the beginning, Adam was predestined to live 1,000 years. Okay. And I'm going to go into a more in-depth lesson. So when the scriptures tell you everlasting life, that means that you will inherit the kingdom. Okay. For a dispensation of time where you will live out your full years that Adam was predestined to live out in. Okay. And then you would yield your spirit to the Lord. And you would create nations, no different than Ham, Shem, and Japheth. From your loins, a nation will come out of you. Okay, that is one reward you will have written in the book of life. And people in this kingdom, that new generations to come, will read the things that you've done in this life, understanding that you are a patriarch of a nation that is a righteous seed. Okay, let's go to Luke chapter 17. Verse 26, because in like manner, this happened in the times of Noah. Noah was saved through the flood and he stepped off of the ark and he procreated. Okay. He's the progenitor of everyone that you see now. And his 3 sons are the progenitors of the 3 major races, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Luke 17:26. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. Genesis 9:18. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the 3 sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. You see that? So you either come from Ham, Shem, or Japheth. Okay? The so-called black man in America, he was lied to when they said that he came from Ham. Okay, when that is not historical fact. It's not biblical fact, and it's not biblical dictionary fact. Okay, Ham is the progenitor of Canaan, Put, Mitzrayim, and Cush. Okay, 4 nations that came out of Ham. We are a Shemitic people because we came from Shem. And Japheth, they are Japhethetic people. Okay. Genesis 9:20. And Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. Okay. So Noah was replenishing the earth, and Noah began to become an husbandman. He was a farmer. He began to teach his children agriculture because we had to learn how to subdue the planet. We had to learn how to eat and get seed that yielded its fruit in its season. We had to learn all that all over again. And you have to understand that Noah lived, I believe it says 550 years after the flood. So there was people that understood that Noah was the progenitor of that time. And Noah was honored as an ancient wise father, okay, who taught the world agriculture. How do you think Abraham learned the domestication of horses? Because he had access to Noah. He had access to Noah through Eber and these men, okay, and Shem, because these men lived long lives and they taught mankind how it was supposed to be conducted and subdued in the earth. Okay. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 33. Thus saith Yahweh, in the day that I shall have cleansed you from all your iniquities. I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the wastes shall be builded. You see, after he cleans us, being cleansed, okay, when we go before the Lord to make that perpetual covenant, okay, the new covenant in the blood of the Lamb that cleaned us from our transgressions, we will take the nations captive, whose captives we were, and they will build our desolate places. Okay, Ezekiel 36 and 34. And the desolate land shall be tilled, whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that passed by. You see, when you go into that land of Israel now, people say, how is that God's land? Look at this rocks and desert. And how is that the people of God when this don't even line up to prophecy? According to prophecy, when they go in the land, it's going to be tilled. Well, when we get to the land, it's going to be tilled no different than when Noah got off the ark and he had to subdue the earth again, and he had to become a husbandman. Okay, we will be the husbandmen of the Lord again. Children of Israel was always known to be husbandmen. Okay, and the other nations are going to build up the places that their people destroyed. All right. It says, and the desolate land shall be tilled, whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that passed by. And they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden. You see that? The earth is going to start producing because the children of Israel is back in their land. Okay? We will have possession of our homeland. Okay? And it's going to be flowing with milk and honey. Once again, a paradise, the kingdom of heaven on earth as the Lord always intended it. And we will be fruitful and we will multiply. It's going to expound. It says, and the waste and desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. Ezekiel 36 and 36. Then the heathen that are left round about you. You see, there's going to be heathen that are left round about, preserved for captivity. Okay, left round about you shall know that I, the Lord, build the ruined places and plant that was desolate. I, the Lord, have spoken it, and I will do it. Thus saith the Lord God, I will yet for this be inquired of by the house of Israel, to do it for them. I will increase them with men like a flock. How is the Lord going to increase us like a flock of sheep? Okay, he's going to multiply us because we are going to have our wives in order. All right, and we are going to have the physical properties. Okay, and a similar body that's able to eat, drink, all right, laugh, things of that nature, and reproduce. Okay, because that's how the Lord created it to be in the beginning. That's why he is liking this day or liking this time as the Garden of Eden, because that was in the beginning. Isaiah 60 and 21, a future prophecy. Thy people also shall be all righteous. So we're not going to sin anymore in this kingdom, because we will have the law, statutes, and commandments within our heart, as he promised in Jeremiah 31 and 31. Okay, with the house of Judah and the house of Israel will he make this covenant. He did not make this covenant with the other nations. The other nations are going to be in bondage, and we are going to be in the similitude of our God. All right. And it says, thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. Okay, so he called out these men and women to be his children to multiply it. Okay, and the ark is Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. He will gather us and we will be committed to the Holy Land as the priests and children and princes of God. All right. Isaiah 60 and 22. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time. So a little one or a small child okay, shall become 1,000. All right. He is going to populate and become a nation. All right. And a small one, a strong nation, meaning the one that was considered weak and meek, he is going to produce a strong nation. No different than how Ham produced nations. No different than how Shem produced nations and Japheth produced nations. All right. So we're going to repopulate and replenish the earth. Okay. The kingdom of Israel. And we will be the most populated over the earth. And we will inherit the desolate places according to the prophecy within the Bible. All of the places that were desolated, we will inherit. We will inherit the nations. They will be our property and our inheritance that their fathers fell from, and we will take their children as inheritance. Okay? And they will be servants to the children of Israel for bondmen and bondwomen, no different than how we are in their society. Okay? And after the 1,000 years, they will begin to go into their lands and practice the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay? And search for the Lord. But they have to go into captivity to fix the earth. All right? Isaiah 65, verse 20. There shall be no more thence an infant of days. So there's not going to be a miscarrying womb. There's not going to be SIDS. There's no kids going to live 3 months and just die, because death is no longer running rampant over the earth. Death, where is thy sting? The sting of death is sin, the scriptures say. Well, sin is not going to be running rampant. People will sin, okay? Not the children of Israel, because we will be the priests and holy people of God. We will all be righteous, but the earth, there will be people sinning, and people will be put to death according to the law. Okay, because we will rule the nations according to Revelation chapter 2 with an iron rod. That iron rod being the law. You violate a sin unto death, you get death. Okay, that is the kingdom of heaven. There is no kingdom without law, but there will be no infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. You see that? So on the right hand side, the scriptures are telling you that a man will live out his fullness. No different than when you read about Methuselah. All right. How old he was. When you read about Lamech, and when you read about these men that live 950 years. Okay. These men didn't die an old hag. Okay. These men died and they offered their spirit to the Lord when they fulfilled their purpose in God. So they filled their years. And that's how the kingdom of heaven will be. But you will grow, okay, at a slower rate than you do now. All right. Because we will be in the virtue of God. All right. You will be in your youthful state at 300 years old, man, 400 years old. Okay. And you will slowly grow old, and you will be an ancient wise man until the Lord calls you home. And then you're going to call your children before you. The nation protruded from you, and you will yield your spirit to the Lord. OK, that is how the kingdom of heaven will operate. And you will come back into the earth, because that's how the Lord always operated. All right. You're not going to populate, overpopulate the earth. OK, the Lord deals with ecosystem cycles. He deals with common sense and logic. OK, and truth. All right. Not what you feel is good. OK, not what you feel how it should be. He's telling you right here that won't be a man that will not fill his days. OK, for the child shall die 100 years old. You see that? So there will be somebody in their youth. OK, they look like they're probably 20, 25 years old, but they'll be 100 years old. But there's going to be transgression still. OK, and if that person committed transgression in the kingdom of God, they're going to die looking like they were 25 years old, but they were 100 years old. All right. It says, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. So that person that commit a certain sin, he is going to be an example of what not to do. And he is going to be considered accursed, meaning don't ever commit that again. And this is how the Lord is going to prove to mankind his laws, statutes, and commandments. If you keep them, you will have everlasting life. If you break them, you will be accursed. The wages of sin is death. Okay, he already established that from the beginning. You eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, ye shall surely die. Okay, Isaiah chapter 65 verse 21. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. So when the Lord says there are many mansions in the Heavenly Father's kingdom, there's much room. We're going to have land. We're going to have mansions. We're going to have beautiful estates, man. All right. Estates that are unfathomable, man. All right. When you read about the history of Queen Makeda, when she was going in to see Solomon, she saw the kingdom of Israel. She nearly fainted back then. And the scriptures tell you that there was no kingdom before it and no kingdom like it after. So when you going down watching these little monuments down here and say, this is Abraham Lincoln, like there was nothing comparable to what we had. Okay, there was nothing comparable to the architecture of our land. Okay, to the fertility and beauty and glory of the land of Israel. And we're going to be in a greater glory than even in the days of Solomon, because even Hamashiach Yahweh Shai said, one greater than Solomon is here, and he is preparing that place for us. Okay. Isaiah 65 and 22. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. So no one is going to come into our land ever again and take from us. We're not going to pay rent to anybody, mortgage to anybody. We're not going to ask for a loan to have a house. We're going to be the owners. We're going to be the head and no longer the tail, as scriptures say. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people. Let me read that again. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people. So when you look at trees, one particular tree, the oak tree, okay? The oak is a very durable tree that lives for hundreds of years, man. Okay, it starts off as a small plant, okay? A tree is very ancient, all right? So that's going to be the longevity of man and woman's life, okay? The children of Israel's life, because he said, these are the days and the length of days of my people, all right? This is all the promises, the glory, the kingdom, all right? The service of God is all for the children of Israel. Okay. Continuing Isaiah 65 and 22. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. So we're going to long enjoy the work of our hands, man. Okay. That means we're going to have substance that you can imagine. Gold, emerald, bdellium, fruits, vegetables, water, livelihood, joy. All right. Isaiah 65 and 23. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of Yahweh, and their offspring with them. You see that? So we will populate on the planet, and our children will be blessed through us. Okay. As the people in the time when the Lord was going to destroy everything round about him, he chose a seed to repopulate the earth and teach the laws, statutes, and commandments as the priests of God within the kingdom of heaven. Okay. And had access to the 12 gates, which all had the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And when we do our service to the Lord and we go into the temple of the Lord, we will leave and go back home, and we will conduct ourselves as the children of God in our lives and our lands, with our families, okay, with our wives, with our children that will multiply above measure. Okay. Matthew 22 and 29. Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, ye do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of God. And I'm going to prove that Yahweh Shai was talking about the afterlife, when a man, he passes this life and he goes on to the next life we call the afterlife, that he was not talking about those who rose in the resurrection in his time, that they would not have the properties to reproduce. Okay. But when you die, okay, your spirit resurrects or ascends to God. The Sadducees were a sect of Israelites who did not believe in heaven or hell. Okay, they believe you lived, you died. All right. These were Israelites that practiced this, that followed this religion. Okay, they believed that fate was just fate. All right. A man lives, he becomes rich. It's because that's how fate happens. If a man is poor, that's fate. That's his kingdom. Okay. His fate is his lot here in this life. Okay. But the Mashiach Yahweh Shai was proving them that they were erring in the scriptures and they didn't know the power or the ability of God. It says, Matthew 22:30, for in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. So what Hamashiach Yahweh Shai is saying is, when you die in this life, your next life, when you are a spirit and your body is put into the ground, your spirit ascends or resurrects to the Lord, okay? And it doesn't think about reproducing because it does not have a body. It's a spirit. You will be talking back and forth with the judge, okay? It says Matthew 22:31, but as touching the resurrection of the dead, have ye not read that which was spoken unto you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. So he says, listen, but as touching the resurrection of the dead, which proves he was talking about the afterlife when they will be like unto angels. But when he says touching the resurrection of the dead, however, don't you know that God is the God of the living and not the dead? Because he was proving that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were alive and they will be promised a lot in their kingdom. When you read about Abraham, he saw the lot of his children and saw that they will possess the land forever. Those called according to the seed through a Mashiach Yahweh Shai of faith. Because there will be Israelites that did not believe in the Christ or the Messiah, Yahweh Shai. Okay? But those who did believe, they would be promised to have this inheritance in this body, in this similitude of Yahweh Shai, where they can procreate on the planet. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2, okay, to give you some more understanding of the third heaven, all right, it says, I knew a man, this is Paul, in Christ above 14 years ago, whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body I cannot tell. God knoweth, such an one caught up into the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body I cannot tell. God knoweth, how that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for a man to utter. So this is why Mashiach Yahweh Shai says in Matthew 22, verse 29, it says, Yahweh Shai answered and said unto them, ye do err, not knowing the scriptures nor the power of God. See, they didn't have any understanding of the afterlife because the afterlife was not necessarily written, okay, for us to understand. That's why it says in Ecclesiastes 3:20, all go unto one place. All are of the dust and all turn to dust again. Who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of the beast that goeth downward to the earth? So now, what Hamashiach Yahweh Shai was explaining to these Sadducees was, have ye not read that God is the God of the living and not the dead? You say God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob. So if you don't believe in the afterlife, why are you saying the God of dead men if they were not alive? Okay, so when you cross over into the kingdom, you have to remember you are going to have a body that is going to eat, that is going to drink, that is going to be fruitful and multiply. Okay, and you will create nations and you will be a pillar in God's kingdom. Christ was talking about the ascension into heaven or the afterlife when a man passes away. But concerning the resurrection of the dead, meaning those who will be brought back to life, okay, they're alive. Christ was proving that they were alive, but they were like angels, okay, that they did not procreate. But man will procreate at the coming of a Mashiach Yahweh Shai. Because like in the beginning, we're going to be fruitful and multiply in a new form. As it says in Ecclesiasticus 41:4, and why art thou against the pleasure of the Most High? There is no inquisition in the grave, whether thou have lived 10 or 100 or 1,000 years. Okay, so mankind was given a bulk that he had to live out. And those bulk of years was 1,000. Okay, which is a day unto the Lord. So he gave mankind a day. All right. Now concerning the women, okay, because men carry the seed, but women will go back into the submissive place where the Lord told Eve that her man shall rule over her. Okay. And woman will be within the kingdom of heaven carrying children. That's how the Lord designed this earth to be inhabited. Okay. He designed it for mankind to sow a seed into woman, and that woman conceive, woman impregnate, incubate the baby for 10 months, and the baby is born. That is a great joyous thing unto the Lord. He's not going to take that blessing away from mankind and womankind. Okay. Isaiah 4:1 says, and in that day, 7 women, which represents completion. So whatever completes a man in his works, how many wives he has. David had a multitude of wives. Abraham had a multitude of wives. Solomon, of course, we know his situation with 700 wives. But men, prophets, they had multiple wives. Okay. You live in a society where America is teaching you that you have to only be with one wife because they hate our infrastructure that God set up when it deals with the family economic structure. Okay. That's just how it is. That's how the Lord designed it. Okay. Isaiah 4:1 again. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man. That's multiple women taking hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. You see that? To take the man's name means to be surnamed after the man, meaning he will possess you. You will be his possession. You will be his wife. And they're going to cry. Let us eat our own bread, saying we're going to have our own food. Let us make our own apparel, meaning we're going to sew our clothing for our future generations and our generation that protrudes from us. Okay. And take away our reproach, which means we're going to bear your children, because believe it or not, it was a reproach. A woman would be insulted in public if she was barren after a certain age, because they believed that she did some type of sin. They believed that she did some type of sin and that the Lord made her womb barren. When you go into John the Baptist's mother, she said, the Lord took away my reproach, and she hid herself for 5 months. Okay. So these women are going to want to bear your children. Okay. Because they have insulted the male, and by marrying the male and being saved through childbearing and continuing in the faith, okay, her reproach will be taken away because she will be blessed with his children. Okay. Isaiah 4:2. In that day shall the branch of Yahweh be beautiful and glorious, as it said in Ezekiel, that the Lord is going to do this planting. Okay. And this branch, this family is going to be beautiful and glorious. And the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. You see that? The earth is going to look beautiful. A paradise, palm trees, clear rivers, man. Taking a mango off of a tree and just digging your teeth into it, man. Letting the mango juice run down your beard, man. Okay. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. That's the book of life. Okay. Isaiah 4:4. When the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion. Okay. What's the filth of the daughters of Zion? Your Nicki Minaj's, your Beyonce's, your Cardi B's, the twerking all over TikTok and Instagram. That's the Lord cleansing the filth of the daughters of Israel, man. Okay. And then they will go back into living holy, shamefaced, submissive, glorious, beautiful in that holy facet. Okay. Virtuous woman. Okay. Virtuous woman such as Sarah. Okay. Virtuous woman such as Deborah. Okay. Verse 4. When the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. So we got to go through this fire first. We got to go through the World War IIIs and the Armageddons first. Okay, for us to get there. Okay. And that's the spirit of judgment that has to take place. All right. That's why it talked about the 4 angels that were bound with the flaming sword to protect from the tree of life. I'm reading you the tree of life right now, how glorious this kingdom would be. And that tree of life is none other than the diverse tribes of Israel. We are the life of the society. Okay. We are the moral compass of the planet and the universe. When we fall, God destroys. All right. So I just wanted to bring out that understanding and give more edification. I will be expounding on other lessons. As you have questions, you can always put them in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Spread the truth, man. Okay. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. All right. Shalom.